And thank everybody for coming today for our State of Missoula. Our theme, is a case of collaboration, a six-pack of success. I'd like to start the meeting off, or the day off, with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everybody could stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So again, thank you everybody and welcome to the State of Missoula address. We're happy to bring you a pretty fun presentation today, talking about some of the successes we've had in Missoula. It's just a kind of a real, I don't know, I think a proud moment, I think, for the Chamber and for all of us. We should all be pleased with ourselves. We couldn't make any of this possible without our sponsors. So I'd like to thank ATG, Summit Beverage, WGM, Northwestern Energy, and Cushing Terrell, formerly CTA. Thank you. And also, I'd like to, extend a warm and special thank you to the folks at our head table, as well as the visionary members, some of whom couldn't be here. But we have Kim Luttrell, the President and CEO of the Chamber. We have ATG representatives, and we have our visionary members. We have Scott Burke, First Security Bank, Tim Winger from Southgate Mall, Jim Strauss from the Missoulian, Jim McGowan from Windfall, the University of Montana, Paul Lassiter, and Rick Edwards from Northwest Energy. And in addition to that, we have some special guests from our community efforts. We have Rob Watson, who's here from MCPS, and we've got Bill Johnston from First Security, our George Award winner this year. Congratulations. And with that, we need to give a little bit of time for our ATG title sponsor. Bridget Smith is a senior consultant, and we're going to have a little video.
Oh, I think I'm in.
Your video? Come on up. I thought I heard there was a video, but maybe not.
You got it. Can everybody hear me okay? Perfect. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Bridget Smith, and I have the pleasure of working at Advanced Technology Group. Anybody know who that is? Heard of us before? Maybe you've seen us a few times. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody know what we do? Any? No one? Oh, this is just like Thanksgiving dinner, right? From my friends and family. Anyway. Luckily, I've had over 3 years of preparing this that I share with all of my friends and family, so we're in a good spot. So ATG does a lot of things for basically to help businesses, whether that is at an enterprise level, small medium business, whether that is to solve some inefficiencies in their selling process, maybe scale their business, try on a new monetization strategy. That's a buzzword. We do a lot. We have 3 core service offerings. One is an advisory. So this is where we look at the lens people, process, and technology, and we help businesses say, okay, I want to get to X. How do I get there? And we can go and talk to a whole bunch of people and get them there through a roadmap of a technology stack, process improvement, or just feeling out their business, people, process, and technology. The next one is when we take that roadmap and we implement those application solutions that we say, I think this is the best fit for your business and to get your successful business outcomes. And we implement that solution. This comes with a great great effort of collaboration. So we have project teams that have so many roles across from project management, business analyst, implementation consultant, all of these roles that sound very foreign to people who aren't within our world, but who work together and collaborate to deliver a technology solution to fit the needs of their business. And then after that, we have application support. So we're with them through the entire continuum between discovery, implementation, and then managed application support to continue making them successful. All of those things. Oh, how did I do, guys? Did I miss anything? Okay. I also just want to call out two things, because this doesn't happen just with us in our four walls. We actually have a whole community of people who collaborate, and one of the lucky things about Missoula is that we have such a community of people that we have so many touch points with. And one of those great things that came out is our All in Missoula program. So we have a whole workforce that is dedicated to taking anybody from any different kind of background and doing a paid training course into the Salesforce ecosystem and the Salesforce platform, and then making them effective consultants and implementing and helping us implement or do application support for all those businesses. So I am one of the many that have such a diverse background that landed at ATG, and we're encouraging everybody who's ever interested to come join us throughout the AIM program as well. That's us in a nutshell. Thank you for your time, everyone. Man, it's great to be in a room with fellow Missoulians, let me tell you. So, did I do good? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Bridget, and again, thanks to ATG for their title sponsorship for this event. So, six-pack of success. First of all, who's this guy up here talking to you right now? This is Jason Rice. I'm with Territorial Landworks, now IMEG. I'm also the current chair of the board for the Chamber of Commerce. So I've got to work with the staff at the Chamber, with Kim here for 4 years now. And coming out of our annual retreat this year, one of the main priorities was collaboration. And Kim said, what the heck? I've been collaborating for 40 years or something like that, right? Well, we said, I think it's kind of a new, fresh definition of collaboration. And we said, we need to kind of make a big, strong effort. This community, there's a lot of great organizations doing great things here. And, we're the Chamber of Commerce. We're the organization that focuses really towards commerce, doing business, getting things done. And business doesn't happen if we don't have a place for people to live. We don't have people to have, there's lots of jobs right now, it seems like. It's a workforce shortage. So, we've been seeing that. We've identified that. And so a lot of things that we've been looking forward and working on and saying, if we want to bring this to another level, there are great organizations in Missoula. I mean, there are. There's groups that are focused towards builders. There's focused towards real estate, focused towards economic development. And we all need to do our jobs, and we all need to collaborate together. And there's also our city government and our county government. So this year, the Chamber, for the first time ever, went to Washington, D.C. They didn't do it once, they did it twice for two different reasons. So thanks to Kim and everybody who did that. That was great. And so that's a big step forward for our involvement in what we do moving things forward. And so as I do that, I start to think about what have we accomplished, and it's not just we. I mean, some of these stories that you're going to hear today, the Chamber, all we did was say, good job, and gave them encouragement. Some of them we were more involved with. But these are 6 successes that we should, as Missoulians, all be proud of. I think there's always, you can always find the things that we can do better. I think we've all identified that there's some, like I said earlier, workforce issues, and that's a lot of what we've actually, as part of our panel, we've made some advancement there. So we're moving the dial. That all being said, I would like to just say that it's been, the first 6 months as my position as chair has been great, really seeing the needle move on the dial. And if it wasn't for all these individuals that I get to introduce here in a second, we wouldn't see a lot of these things happen. So with that, what I'm going to do is introduce everybody that's on the panel, and then they're going to kind of give a little discussion about what they did and what their involvement was. and it's pretty cool stuff. We're going to end with a video from Summit Beverage, and I'll introduce those folks when we get to that. So I'd like to start kind of just going right down the line here. We've got Mark Roberts and Todd Scopper. They have both been involved with the early learning, the education. We have a child care. You guys probably saw the press release recently. So with Mark, he's the CEO of Missoula Early Learning Center. He's a Helena, Montana native, 2004 graduate of the University of Montana College of Business. And Mark and his co-owners opened Missoula Early Learning Center in February 2017, and has recently announced their expansion into the former Cold Springs Elementary School. So they're going to be able to care for up to 192 kids moving forward, if you guys hadn't heard the press release. So Mark spent 15 years in academic publishing. He's been chief of operations and co-owner of before that business was sold in 2015, so he's got a good background. With him is Todd Scopper. He's with Cushing Terrell, and he works with an architectural firm, helping with the conceptuals. This is not just started at the Cold Springs and that's where it's ended. There's a path that they've gone through. They'll tell that story. Todd is a Montana State graduate, and he's been working in the industry for 25 years. So he and his wife, Beth, moved to Missoula in 1997 and back to, I assume. But Todd loves hanging out with his family, friends, doing a variety of outdoor activities. And really, he's been working in the construction industry and has brought an appreciation for both sides of architectural design and the construction side. They've helped him with a good understanding of the integration of design and construction, and the enjoyable part of his job focuses on teammates, mentoring, and raising the level of quality in his profession. So in a second, they're going to talk about the child care and how that will hopefully bring more folks to the workforce as we're able to get people less worried about taking care of their kids and able to do both work and take care of the kids. So then we have Michael Peary, and he's with the Montana Department of Labor and Industry. And he's going to speak a little bit. Well, I'll give you a bio on him first. He is a Montana native, and he's born in Billings. His family moved to Helena when he was young, and he attended Montana State University, and he took a job with Kinney Shoe Corporation and managed several retail stores across Oregon. He returned to Montana in 1991 and took a position with the Montana Department of Labor and Industry in Helena. Over the next 2 decades, Mike worked in the production, dissemination, and training related to labor market information in the state of Montana. Mike currently serves as the Director of Labor Market Information for Montana Department of Labor and Industry, and is approaching 29th year working with the department. And so, that's the component of that is the introduction to the different pathways to careers that we've been working on as the Chambers, bringing that to the community and some of those alternatives. So he'll talk to that a little bit. Steve Clausen, he's on our board as well. He's the incoming chair. He'll get to replace me, do this next year. He's with Northwest Energy, and he was born in Great Falls and raised in Havre. He's a graduate from Northern Montana College, and he worked in banking for 36 years in Havre. Stops in Gillette, Wyoming, Bozeman, and Kalispell, and he retired in 2013 as a district president for Wells Fargo Northern Montana. He was responsible for 11 banks in 10 different communities. Steve joined Northwest Energy in 2015 as a community relations manager in Missoula division, which includes Ravalli, Missoula, Mineral, Sanders, and Flathead counties. He is an active in a number of community organizations, works with many nonprofits, and is the incoming chairman for the Missoula Chamber of Commerce. And he has been married to Nancy for 40 years, and they have 3 grown children, all in Kalispell. So he was going to speak to some project with the solar panels with the school system that you guys are seeing popping up around town. Then we have Ryan Salisbury, and he is a vice president and principal engineer at WGM Group. He worked extensively in 2019 on the Mullen Build grant application. Ryan led the Build grant efforts to reach out to community leaders to obtain letters of support, present the project to the neighborhood council in the area, coordinate the site, visited with Senator Daines, went to Washington, D.C., begged, pleaded to help get the funds for our community. He has 21 years of experience designing roads, sewer, water, and storm drainage. Um, and his spans more than a decade with engineering and planning for development such as 44 Ranch, Heron's Landing, and Hellgate Village. He serves on the Missoula Building Industries Government Affairs Committee and is past president of the Rocky Mountain chapter of the American Public Works Association. And he's going to speak about the Build Grant. So he'll give a little bit of a story behind that. And then we have, and I work with Chad and for Chad, and I still don't know how to pronounce your name very well, so I'm going to butcher it probably. Chad, there you go, Suituno. So, as I said, I've been working with Chad on the VA building that's a project that's coming, and he'll get to speak to that and give some stories on that. But Chad has focused on healthcare real estate development for the past 7 years. He leads the development management for several large medical and senior living projects, providing feasibility studies, site selection, land entitlement, budget management, design and construction oversight. He started his career in the U.S. Army, where he served as an officer for the Corps of Engineers for 10 years with multiple deployments in the Middle East. He's a decorated war veteran, being awarded the Bronze Star Medal for service in Afghanistan, where he led a company of 135 soldiers, while a large national general contractor, sorry, reading to a crowd is not my forte. In 2008, Chad started his civilian career with a large national general contractor, where he served in several roles from superintendent to project manager. Since 2013, he has been a development manager overseeing the development of $275 million worth of real estate. Chad holds a Bachelor's of Science degree from United States Military Academy at West Point, an MBA from SMU, and Master's in Public Policy and Administration from the University of Missouri. Chad also holds a CCIM designation and a lead accredited professional. So he'll be talking about this project out off Mary Jane and Broadway. The final person who will not, group that won't be here is Summit Beverage. Mike Markovich is the Vice President of Community Relations for Summit Beverage. I've been working with Mike and Greg Markovich for their project that's adjacent to where the VA building will go. And he and his brother are the main driving forces behind Summit Beverage. I will spare you all of the details here, but they've been here as a family running the Summit Beverage distribution and have great plans to expand and continue to provide jobs and opportunity for Missoulians. And so I'll introduce the video that he produced for this event when we get done with the panel. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mark, and thank you. Well, never mind. No.
Is this mic working? Jason, thank you so much. Chamber of Commerce and local business community, thank you for coming today. It was for childcare. It's been a long 18 months getting to a point at which we can expand and grow childcare in Missoula to help with our workforce community. You're going to hear a lot today about collaboration, of how that worked. It first started off with Kim Luttrell and the Chamber of Commerce reaching out to myself and some other facilities 18 months ago. They heard from their board and all of you out there that you know it's difficult to have workforce come back in to the community to work after having a child just because there's not enough spaces. I hear it from the other side too. One of the things that I hate doing the most about that with my job is telling parents, telling new moms and dads that we have a 18-month waiting list for their newborn infant. So it was the drive of the chamber and those phone calls that really we wanted to expand and wanted to grow. We looked at many different models that would work. We went down a couple different avenues of different options. One of them, we got to the 11th hour and just didn't work. Didn't stop the drive. As Jason said, the chamber does a really good job of saying, keep going, let's do it. And they did. That opened up communications with MCPS, where we have Rob Watson here who helped push that goal of us moving into Cold Springs over the goal line of being able to open a facility in a formerly used school, which is a great opportunity for us. in the collaboration and partnership with that, Todd and Christian Carroll came on board and have been more than a helpful resource to us from day one. Not only with motivation and when I was feeling down, but saying that we can do this and continue to push forward. It's with the support of all of the businesses here, with the Chamber, MCPS, and with Cushing Terrell that we are able to sit and make an agreement on the building and be able to open up a new facility in the former Cold Springs in September of this year. So. I'd like to turn it over to Todd. He's going to talk a lot more about the collaboration effort that went forward with this project. Way better public speaker than I am at this point, so hopefully I set the bar low enough.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. Like Mark said, thank you. We wouldn't be up here unless it was without you guys, right? The businesses in this community really are a driving factor. Part of the chamber. You guys, your role is just as critical as anybody sitting up here. So commend you for being here, and thank you for listening to us. One of the things that we did recognize as a community is that childcare was acknowledged as a hurdle. It's a hurdle on many Missoula businesses in our community. When you're wanting to add or attract workforce, that could be a potential hurdle for them. It's like, well, where's the closest childcare facility, or where can I go to find that? Do you have it in-house? So those are all questions that do come up, and we identified, or we as a group, community identified that there's a lack of quality child care providers here locally. There's good quality child care providers, but there is a lack of them. Chamber staff, chamber committees, business leaders, and industry experts have all been a contributing resource over the last year and a half focusing on this issue. So again, just thank you. So my story is just similar to Mark's. 18 months ago, Kim gives me a call. If you get a call from Kim Luttrell, you really kind of know what's going to be coming, right? But I listened to her with interest. She asked if Cushing Terrell would be able to volunteer our time. I don't know what that might have looked like at the time, but yeah, sure, I would love to. Our answer was an immediate yes, because 20 years ago, my wife and I had a daughter, and we were in the same situation. So I had to find quality daycare, and there's waiting lists, and I just figured it was a rite of passage, right? And it's like, oh, well, we did it, and the next people are going to do it too. But really, it's been an ongoing issue that needs to be addressed. We made choices that took my wife out of the workforce for a while. Those are all choices we made, but it's an impact to the business community, right? They have to retrain, find somebody to fulfill that employment position as well. So it's a challenge. Recently, I was talking to a coworker. He's going through the same struggles. And so this is an important factor for us in our community for both retention and long-term economic impact to our community. I think the numbers are around, like, there's 1,000 kids that are on a waiting list. So just put that into perspective. Along with the chamber president, we had met with businesses. We outlined a lot of different options, as Mark had indicated. We shared expertise. We've been presenting at a local level. We've been presenting at a state level. And we've also been presenting at a national level. And the impact that we have had, and when I say we, it's not just Mark and I, or it's everybody that has been involved in that process. So I really appreciate responses to surveys, coming to panel discussions. Those are all beneficial. We receive positive and negative comments. Those are all good, because what it does is, as a team, we've been collaborating and moving this ball forward. And that's important, not just, again, for us, but this is a national issue that has press, that has an importance, it's valuable. Most recently, we received personal invitations to go to the White House to speak about this. And we all sort of looked at each other and said, well, why us? It's like, well, I'm an architect. I'm not a child care expert. But really what we've been doing is moving the dial and have received a national kind of presence on it. So it's something to be proud of as a community, that we are impacting not just locally. The initiative is not a local impact, it's a national impact. So again, it's that collaborative impact that we have, that we are moving the dial in this initiative. So again, really commend this group that's in this room and beyond the walls here too, that it's an important impact that you guys are having on all of us. Reading my notes, thanks. You may have seen information provided by the Chamber identifying a variety of solutions. Again, we looked at a lot of different things, different ways of approaching the problem. It's part of what I do as a job, is just a problem solver, and you know, casting that vision and listening and responding to that. So those problem solving or solutions have come out in a variety of different ways, and the Chamber has provided some of that, but a couple of those are just focusing on childcare and inside the business is an option, in-home childcare, sharing or a co-op approach as for childcare. The other that Mark had mentioned too is a private-public partnership, which is pretty interesting with Missoula County Public Schools. So I really commend them too. That's outside the box thinking, and that's a big deal. When we were in Washington D.C., they were just asking us, well, how did you make that happen? And we reflect back to, it's a teaming approach, it's collaboration to help move this issue to more solutions. The Chamber's role, as talked about, they're a connector. They've connected a lot of different folks. Again, it's not just Mark and I doing this. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that have been involved in helping us move the ball forward, and I appreciate that. As an architect in my profession, I see some of my most successful projects aren't about the size or the design. It's really about the partnerships created, being part of a team and collaborating on solutions, and then the implementation. We're still in the collaboration phase. Yes, there is some implementation, but this isn't a one and done. We're not finished. This is going to have to continue to move forward. It's not going to go away anytime soon. You're probably going to see more, you know, as I said, on a national level, there's things that are moving forward and helping the awareness piece, but also it's the solution that needs the solutions that are forthcoming as well. So again, I want to thank Mark and Kim for helping me move into some uncomfortable positions, but really it's been a great ride, and we'll continue to create that awareness and move the initiative on. So thank you for your time. If there's any questions afterward, certainly contact Mark or I. We'd love to engage at whatever level. So thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Kim, and to the Chamber for inviting us as the Department of Labor to this great event. It's phenomenal to see. I heard it was sold out, and that there is all this interest in workforce and developing. And again, as been mentioned before, Jason started off, and Todd mentioned, and Mark, about collaboration. And just a little background quickly, just to kind of let you know why Montana Department of Labor and Industry would be interested in this stuff. The division that I'm in is called Workforce Services Division, and we have oversight of all the local job service offices, Kellyanne Shop and her team over there, as well as some business intelligence, labor market information, the unemployment rate, wage rates by occupation, and then also the career information system that's in some of the schools already, and we're currently working with Missoula County Public Schools to make that happen, and thanks to Superintendent Watson for his assistance with that. And so we have a lot of interest in this, even as far away over there in Helena. And I think we all get it that we need to stop talking about collaboration and just using the buzzword and start making things happen. And that's what the Missoula Chamber has done. And we've taken notice. And my administrator is just giddy about the things that have been done and the steps that have already been taken. And, you know, we really want to be on board this fast-moving train and be a partner with you guys and continue on with this. And the steps that have already happened with the Missoula Chamber and Missoula County Public Schools and the Careers to Pathways is phenomenal. And again, that outside-the-box thinking and already going down that path, that's something that we've been trying to make happen remotely forever. And the fact that they're actually doing it is phenomenal. So that segues into something that came up at the first Career to Pathways event. The Chamber came up with an intake form for businesses that they could fill out and put, you know, potential openings and career pathways and what they had to offer and potential on-the-job training, apprenticeships, various things. And so my boss said, hey, I know a guy that might know some people that could maybe make this happen a little more smoothly, more electronically. I'm that guy. And so, you know, and I'm not the brains behind it, but I know the people that can make this happen. So we've embarked on a collaborative project with the Missoula Chamber called Workforce Connections. And what it is, it's going to be an online database, basically, where each employer can go in and set up their own little account and then post whatever opportunities they have available and any information related to their business. And then from that database, we'll create a dashboard that any student, parent, community member, business can go look at and see what opportunities are available from what businesses in your area or around the state. And unfortunately, I am in government and things move very slowly. So after wading through a bunch of contracts, we are getting some progress, getting some traction. I told Kim that we will be able to hopefully look at some initial screens and options for this tool next week. I do know the back-end database has been created that will house all the data. It will be absolutely secure. That was part of the challenge, was we have to get all the red tape done for secure links into that. Once that database is built, they've started actually creating dashboards from that, working further to get that access for the businesses to do that. And then the next step in that process will be tying that into the actual career pathways, career to pathways. And we've already built for other agencies, OPI, OCHI, and other schools, some tools, some dashboards, some visualizations where you can see where the jobs are, where they aren't, what occupations are going to be around and what probably won't, what they pay. And we're just going to start tying all that together. And in my words, it'll be kind of a one-stop shopping for all those opportunities for businesses and students and everybody. Again, it's connecting those dots. It's getting everybody together in one spot. So again, I'm just so grateful that we have this opportunity to work with them, and as has been said before, moving the dial on something, and we're going to have something, a very good product and a very tangible thing that will help students. So again, thank you, Kim, for letting us be a part of this, and Superintendent Watson and all of you in the room that know how important it is to connect directly with our youth. And, you know, whether they're out of school yet or not, we need to keep those connections fresh and going. So thank you for your time.
Well, good afternoon. The Northwestern Energy pilot project, which I'm going to talk about, actually started in the spring of 2015. We've done a sustainable energy project in Bozeman, community sustainable solar project, but we had other technology that we wanted to test, and so we were looking for a couple of different pilots that we could do in both Missoula and Helena. We put together a fairly comprehensive list of people that we wanted involved in this process, and normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to read the list to you of groups that were involved just because I think it's important for you to understand the diversity of the group that led us to the pilot project we have here in Missoula. Chase Jones from the City of Missoula, Montana Consumer Council, the Public Service Commission, Jim Morton from the Human Resources Council, the Montana Renewable Energy Association, the Montana Department of Environmental Quality, the Montana Environmental Information Center, the Northern Plains Resource Council, Renewable Northwest, On-Site Energy, National Center for Appropriate Technology, Alternative Energy Resources, Wind Power West, the Montana AFL-CIO, and Climate Smart Missoula, which was Carolyn Lauer, and subsequently when we moved to the Missoula pilot, Amy stepped in and got very engaged. In addition to setting up the stakeholder group to move forward with, we also selected a facilitator, which was important. And we selected a company called Smart Electric Power Alliance. Their mission is to facilitate utility industry's smart transition to clean energy and education through education, research, and collaboration. They focus on solar, storage, demand response, and other enabling technologies. The role of SEPA was to facilitate the work as we move through the process, deliver educational content to the people participating, ensure that all parties had a voice, and monitor and incorporate all considerations from the working group. Northwestern's responsibility was provide technical and educational content to the group, provide level setting on costs and feasibility of the pilot, and ultimately we were responsible for delivery of the pilot at the end. The working group came prepared to discuss topics at each meeting and collaborate with the stakeholders. And this group actually had homework between the meetings. They were to provide thoughtful feedback before, during, and after, and be consistently engaged with everybody in the stakeholder group. That led to 6 months of meetings, which started in the fall, November of 2015, and ran through April of 2016. The first meeting was a project kickoff, and meetings 2 through 5 were educational and for discussion purposes. Meeting 6 was where we recapped the learnings, and the group subsequently selected the pilots for each Missoula, both Missoula and Helena. Everybody wanted it to be a customer-enabling initiatives to focus on those as well as integration technologies, which is something that we're interested in. Customer-focused technology that create opportunities for consumers to be more engaged in how they actually consume energy. And we wanted to test technologies that helps us manage our infrastructure and the grid. Guiding principles were, one, it needed to be reformative, and so we wanted it to change the way customers and utilities interact, and we wanted to make sure it provides an education to stakeholders as well as people in the community, and it's something that can be replicated. It needed to be measurable. The outputs needed to be credible, they needed to be unbiased, they needed to be actionable and relevant, and there needed to be definite timelines and goal tracking. It needed to be something that was sustainable. Can it be adapted for different environments? Is it beneficial to the triple bottom line of environmental, economic, and social? And does it consider the future needs of customers as well as our current customers? Finally, it needed to be equitable. All parties need to be considered, and no costs can be transferred to non-participants. At that point, we'd come to the conclusion in Missoula after they voted that what we needed to do here was a solar-based project at each one of the high schools to help provide the education that we were searching for, as well as an opportunity for us to understand how to integrate this type of resource into the grid and how we were going to deal with that in the future. It was $1 million capital investment we made to the project. In addition to that, when we got to the end of the project, we were more than happy to provide Rob with a check for $25,000 to help him and the rest of his team develop curriculum for each one of the high schools. At the point we got through the stakeholder engagement, identified the pilot, then we moved into the collaboration at the local level, and that was with the Missoula Public Schools team, the City of Missoula, and Northwestern Energy. Public Schools team was primarily driven by our previous superintendent, Mark Thane, Rob Watson, our current superintendent, Mike McCune, and Hatton Littman. Mike was critical in working with the design team and our engineers in coming up with designs that made sense for the schools and also fit well within the community. The City of Missoula also contributed that kind of feedback, as did some others. For the city side of things, Chase Jones, Brian von Lossberg, and Jenny Merriam were kind of the key three people that helped move this thing along. In addition to that, we brought in a number of different groups, one of which was the Missoula Downtown Partnership that gave us some real valuable feedback on the pilot project array we put up at Hellgate. Linda McCarthy brought in a group to do that, and their input and thoughts made a difference in where we set the structure as well as some of the things we used in terms of solar panels. I also have to mention that Cushing Terrell played a key role in the design and development of the project, and they worked closely with our engineers, Alan Brodnick, and with them and Joe Leary, with our engineer here in Missoula, were key to moving through the design process. That took several months, and we had meetings on a month-to-month, sometimes every 2-week basis to try to resolve issues, stay within the budget, and come to a conclusion with projects that we thought brought value to both to the schools, to the community, as well as to our employees with Northwestern Energy. We're continuing to look for these opportunities in our service territory. We're working with the city and the county right now on an LED project. It's a retrofit that's going to begin this year. It's going to provide an immediate savings in energy to the community and the county. In addition, we're looking for other areas with the city and county where we can collaborate and move towards their clean energy initiatives. In addition to that, advanced metering will be here in a couple of years, and that's another opportunity for us to manage energy better, both on the consumer side as well as the business side. Finally, I really want to thank again Rob Watson for taking the learning opportunities we've given the schools forward. We'll continue with that partnership because we've got expertise in our organization that can come and help facilitate that educational process for our young people so they can begin to understand how to manage energy better in the future. I'm really pleased to be associated with the Missoula Chamber, and not just this initiative, but all the initiatives that we're moving forward with. These are the kind of things that when we set aside what few differences we might have and maybe put some of the past behind us, we can do some pretty amazing things. I've got a short video on the project of about a minute that I'm going to have Clint run, and then I'll shut up. Thank you.
As the new superintendent, I'm just really excited to welcome all of you here today so that we can look at this project together and we can appreciate what it means for our community.
This actually started 3 or 4 years ago when Northwestern committed to spend approximately $3 million on community sustainability projects across the state. The one that came up in Missoula specifically was we got to involve the schools. The collaboration that we've had with the school system and with the city has just been phenomenal, and I think to see the results. Each school has a different team. What you see out of here is the results of involving all 4 schools, really building a laboratory, if you will, which is extremely exciting, and being able to test so many different applications. We have a wealth of expertise within our organization. You know, whenever there's an opportunity for one of our engineers to come and speak to students or, you know, help with the curriculum and so forth, that's something else that we'd like to be able to do.
Can everybody hear me? Okay. I shut it off and I was wondering if that was going to be a bad decision. But I'm going to go ahead and just stand up so I can see some of these slides a little bit better. But yeah, my name is Ryan Salisbury. Pretty exciting news for the city of Missoula to have been awarded, we found out in November, $13 million of federal DOT money is coming to our Missoula community, and there's a little bit of a story behind that and a great deal of excitement. Now the work begins to implement those dollars that we got. But in case anybody hasn't noticed, Missoula's growing. Traffic's getting better, right? No problems with the traffic. I'm just kidding. But, oh, I'm pushing the wrong one. So what's Missoula look like? We're forecasting 20,000 new people coming to the city of Missoula in the next 20 years. That equates to 9,000 new homes in the next 20 years. This is a good problem to have. Growth needs to be managed. I'd rather be on the side of managing this new growth than on the side of living in a community that's losing population. But we're blessed to live in the Five Valleys with beautiful mountains, but there's some constraints. But what is BUILD? Better utilizing investment to leverage development is what BUILD stands for. It's a program that's been going on for quite a few years. It used to be called Tiger. Tiger Funds built the trail from City of Missoula to Lolo a few years back. Most people are probably familiar with that. They rebranded it. And so the basis, I mentioned the growth, that was the basis of our grant. If you don't manage growth, growth is going to happen anyway. And if growth happens in a willy-nilly fashion, it leaks out all over the place, and there's unintended consequences with increased travel times, more fuel consumption, health. All of those things in the BUILD grant were quantified, and we proposed that if we were able to build backbone infrastructure, water, sewer, and roads in an area that had been planned for growth for many, many years in the city of Missoula, we would all be better off for it. This is just a snapshot of the project. It's between Mullen Road and Broadway. The roads in red there are ones that are proposed, England Boulevard, and then George Elmer Drive and Mary Jane as connections between Mullen and Broadway. Might be hard to see, but there's some green dots in there. Quite a few trails were planned for this project, as well as Grant Creek restoration. So you'll see the three pictures in the bottom. The point here is we didn't get this project the first time. We submitted in 2017. It was considered the Tiger Grant at that time. It's more focused on the airport and landside access and commercial development. We submitted again in 2018, and we got word that the grant on its own made it all the way to the Secretary of Transportation's desk in 2018. In 2019, to give you an idea, 600 BUILD applications were submitted nationwide. Only less than 10% of those were actually selected, and typically there's only one grant allocated to each state. Last year was a bit of an anomaly. Montana actually got 2 grants, but we heard last year there's a chance, and the odds we knew were stacked against us, but the city of Missoula all locked arms and joined forces, and this is where the rubber met the road, honestly. There was a lot of partnerships made, a lot of out-of-the-box thinking, how are we going to get this done? And city and county, honestly, they don't always see eye to eye on certain topics. Private sector, county and city don't always see eye to eye on things. That wasn't the case here. We had a vision. I've never seen the city and county work so closely together, lockstep, arms locked and lockstep to Washington, D.C. We went because we had heard that we needed lobbying support for this. The process gets a little bit political. What we also heard and what resonated with our congressman was seeing the entire cross-section of Missoula, the environmental side, the private side, the public side, and the congressmen were willing to take that and run with it, which ended up being a difference maker. 19 people went to Washington, D.C., the Chamber, the Organization of Realtors, Missoula Economic Partnership. We were able to obtain 48 letters of support for this grant from folks across the city. And just A little shout out, some of the logos. We got the city and county there in the middle because the county was the grant applicant, but they're not necessarily lobbyists. And we had made a decision in early September to take a trip to Washington, D.C. And as someone mentioned, Chamber hasn't done very much of that lobbying. I'm not a lobbyist. So as part of the partnership, organization of realtors and the Chamber reached out to other agencies that do this. They knew which hotels to stay. They helped us get in contact with our congressman. Our congressman let us use their staffers. Senator Dane's office bent over backwards with one of their staffers. And so our fallback position, though, was we had a beer guy with Summit Beverage and we had a garbage guy with Republic Services. So what could go wrong? And then this also happened over many decades, at minimum of 20 years. The groundwork for this project was codified in 2002. Years before that, there was a lot of planning and conversations between the city and county. And in 2002, city and county had a joint road grid resolution. And the importance of that is, clear back then we knew we wanted to grow out here. But what we wanted to do is establish where those roads would go as developments came in or if landowners decided to donate right-of-way. This was the plan in 2002 of where that right-of-way would go. Now we have the money to build it. City sewer was extended into the area. Hellgate Elementary and the taxpayers have made a significant amount of investment into that school district. And what the build grant did is we had only seen less than a quarter mile of this road grid network built in the last 15 years. With the build funds, we're going to see this vision from decades of work come to fruition. This is a picture of us, our last meeting in Washington, D.C. Juanita took this picture, so thank you, Juanita. The euphoria and the feeling of this cross-section of Missoula walking out of the Department of Transportation building was like nothing else I can ever explain. It was amazing. We had met with all of the congressmen and felt like we got green lights. We weren't sure what was going to happen in the DOT's office. We got another green light, and here we are today. And we look forward to further collaboration with the city and county as this project goes into design and construction. But congratulations, Missoula. We did this together.
Good morning. I'm Chad Suitano with Juliet Development. I'm going to come stand over here so I can actually see the screen. And I got a laser pointer. I know there's 3 screens, but I'm going to just point at the center screen. So if you guys want to take a look and follow as I go along. This is going to just want to talk to you about the future Missoula Department of Veteran Affairs community-based outpatient clinic, or CBOCs as we call them within the VA community. This is our initial rendering of the project. It's going to be a beautiful Class A building, lots of glass, lots of metal panel, lots of stone, lots of brick, lots of block. Out front there's going to be what we call our healing garden, so veterans can go out after they receive medical care, just take some time off, walking paths around the facility. Just a great Class A facility. I'll go through some of the portions of it. Just some quick project stats. It's going to be a 62,000 gross square feet facility, about 3 times the size of the existing Missoula VA clinic. Oops, sorry about that. Total development cost about $31 million. Construction costs $22.8 million, and the services offered there quite extensive: primary care, radiology, women's health, lab work, pharmacy, sleep therapy, prosthetic services, telehealth, physical therapy, and just a variety of other exams and services, again, offered to our veterans. This is a site plan of where it's going. Ryan talked about the build grant and Mary Jane. So this is the portion of Mary Jane that's yet to be built. So this is Broadway, or Highway 10, just right south of the airport. About the site, it's It's changed a little bit, but right here we're going to be building a new public road called Veterans Way. That'll be right off of Mary Jane. This is the building, our loading dock, again the healing garden, and just parking throughout the facility. And then we've got some paths and trails for veterans to just walk around. Sometimes it's good to get out and get some fresh air. These are some 3D images of the site that we have. Again, arrows looking down. Airport's up here. This is Broadway. This is the future Mary Jane going in. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. Another 3D perspective facing the front of the building. This is a rendering of the inside of the building, the waiting room, reception area. Again, lots of glass out front there, bringing it in that natural daylight. So our drop-off canopy outside so that the veterans can be dropped off in case of inclement weather, have some type of shelter to come in. We're still planning. This is our memorial wall. We'll list out the fallen Missoula veterans on that wall. That's our plan. Another perspective of the waiting room. Again, from the inside. Again, this is just on the other angle, but it's going to be a very nice facility, very clean, bright, open, conducive to a healing environment for our veterans. Talking about the team, and we wanted the chamber wanted us to talk about the collaboration. So I did want to talk about the overall team, and then the local Missoula team members that will be part of our overall development and construction team. So the operator is going to be the Department of Veteran Affairs. We do have a Ray Fredette from the Department of Veteran Affairs. Ray, over here. So Ray's back in the corner. He's going to be managing the new facility. So glad to have a representative from the VA here. The developer is going to be a joint venture between PMRG and Juliet. Juliet's my company. PMRG's my partner. And then we have a third developer, Hampshire Builders, this will be their 12th VA facility that they're helping to develop. So they bring a wealth of VA experience to this development. Our land broker, NAI Crowley Moore, Jeff Moore was our broker. He found us this land, so we're very thankful for him for getting us a good site. Architect is Leo Daly, national architect, full spectrum, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural. They do everything, and they do an extensive amount of work for the VA, so they know all their policies and procedures. Our civil engineer, Territorial Landworks, Jason's company. So glad to have Jason as a partner. He's been very instrumental in bringing this whole project together. Landscape architect is Ezra Williams. He's local to Missoula, lives in Missoula County. Our geotech engineer, Tetra Tech, again, a local geotech engineer. Our general contractor, Quality Construction, Flint and Eric Reber, if you guys can raise your hand. So they're back in the corner next to Ray. They're going to be executing almost all of the construction. They're going to be doing jointly with Hampshire Builders, our developer. But as far as boots on the ground and working with all of our subcontractors, that'll be Quality Construction. Our property manager, again, local to Missoula, Summit Property Management. And then our last partner here as part of the team is the City of Missoula. Can't do it without them because we need building permits and allowances for everything. Mary McCrae, I know I invited Mary, but she couldn't make it. She was too busy at the city. But she's been our planner, been instrumental in helping us out with all of the development. And then one member that I wanted to mention, he's not an official team member, but it's Summit Beverage. They're selling us the land. It's great to do business with somebody honest, who does what they say they're going to do, who's collaborative, and is looking out for not just for their business interests, but for the interest of Missoula and the veterans. So been working with Greg Markovich over there, and I know Summit's a family-owned business, so the whole family gets to control the decision. So just want to publicly thank him for all of the support that he's helped us with in bringing this project to fruition. This slide I want to this is something everybody knows. It's elementary, but it's important. So sometimes when it's something so important, you want to go over it, even though it's elementary. So I want to just talk about the money that's going to come in and the magnitude of that money and how that money is going to stay right here in Missoula. So basically, we're giving Quality Construction, and they're just one of several vendors we're giving money to, or that we're paying for their services, a $22.8 million construction contract. Now, what's Quality going to do with that? Of course, they've got all their subcontractors to pay. They've got plumbers, glass guys, flooring companies, painting companies, HVAC companies, concrete companies, steel companies, a whole litany, dozens of subcontracting companies that are mostly all going to be here, local to Missoula, definitely within Montana. And then let's just zero down on one guy, the plumber, the plumbing company. What's he going to do with his money? That's going to be $1 million plus contract that he's going to get from Quality Construction. He's going to, of course, pay his plumbers. What are those plumbers going to do? They're going to spend all their money locally, or most of their money locally. Restaurants, paying their taxes. Those taxes are going to go toward teachers, firemen, police, spending their money on retail, veterinarians, dry cleaners, doctors, everybody. So again, this is elementary, but I just want to point out, this is all out of state, out of city money coming into Missoula, and the majority of it is going to stay right here in Missoula. As far as long-term job creation, because this is the other important, besides just all the money that's coming in, long-term job creation, again, we're tripling the size of the existing VA clinics. So if you take their full-time equivalent employees and you extrapolate that out, it's going to be about 110 new jobs, full-time equivalent jobs created by the upsize in this clinic. So it's going to be a big boost as far as job creation. Property manager, Summit Property Management, they'll probably have to hire about 1.5 people with part-time property managers and building engineers to oversee the clinic. And then it's too hard to quantify janitorial, landscape, and snow removal, but this is going to be a big clinic. We need janitors 6 days a week. We need landscaping. Come out and visit twice a month, and snow removal companies to come out whenever there's enough snow removal. So don't know how to quantify how many full-time equivalent jobs that is, but it will be an increase of jobs for those services. And then my final slide, this is we saved the most important slide for last. This is what it's about. This is why we're doing this. We're building this facility for the veterans that served our country, the Missoula veterans that served our country. Guys who went overseas, got banged up, came back with sustained injuries that they'll have for life. And then also our older veterans. This is something near and dear to my heart. I personally am a disabled vet. My father and uncle are both disabled and elderly vets. They get all of their care from the VA. Without that, I'm sure they'd be dead by now. So it's a payback. You know, this country and our state and our union wouldn't be where it is without our military. So we owe it to our veteran service members to give back. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now, like I said, Mike Markovich is somebody who was on the trip with us to D.C. You know, the Summit's been a supporter of the Chamber for a long time, and you'll see their signs at our business after hours, and we can thank them for our beverages. I think that they were part of this effort that we've gone through, and ever since then, the level of engagement of being part of that process and seeing forward progress before we knew that they won the build grant has just stepped up. So I kind of like to spotlight and thank them, because it's the kind of thing to say, you know, you don't always get rolled into the opportunity to engage, and so that would be my encouragement as well. I mean, I think that you see an opportunity here, you know, to have them now be bigger sponsors at a different level, be actually participating at the table of some of our committees and helping us kind of make sure that we continue to think about these things. I just think that speaks highly of the kind of the process as just one story beyond just the success story of them expanding their building, which you're going to learn about in the video that we're going to play. But it's just the success story of their involvement with the Chamber and a business partner that just kind of anteed up a little bit, I think. So with that, you ready to play the video, Clint? All right, hit it.
Hi, I'm Mike Markovich. I'm so proud to be part of the Six Pack of Success, and I think it's kind of an appropriate name for this event today. Thank you for having me. I apologize that I couldn't be here today. I had some prior engagements, so we've been asked to tell you a little bit about ourselves, our history, our operations, and how we fit into the Six Pack of Success. More than 50 years ago, my grandparents moved from Missoula to Anaconda to buy a small candy tobacco wholesale operation. Very small business. Couple of trucks, 3 employees, very small facility footprint. They were in Anaconda for a few years, and then later ended up in Butte. While the candy tobacco business was fun, they always wanted to get into the beer business. There was a small regional beer brand at the time called Rainier. My grandparents and my dad had the opportunity to pick up the beer brand, which ushered us into a new era of being in the beer business. We put every single resource we had behind growing the Rainier brand. We knew that if we were going to make that thing #1 in the market, it was going to take a lot of work and dedication. And we were proud to wear that brand on our shoulder. Through the years, we supported many local softball teams and local community events, and all the things that it really takes to grow a beer brand. Fast forward to today, when we moved over to Missoula and acquired this distributorship, this company was formerly known as Earl's Distributing, was and is the largest beer and wine distributor in the state of Montana. It was at that point in time we decided we needed a new identity. We had 2 identities. We had Roach & Smith Distributing in Butte, and we had Earl's Distributing in Missoula. We had to marry the 2 names and come up with a new one to continue our identity and our brand image at retail. And thus we arrived on Summit Beverage. We're at over 150 employees. Our current facility that we work out of is north of 68,000 square feet, and we are absolutely proud to be a part of the beer business, beer culture, and beer family in Western Montana. As a beer and wine distributor, we are part of a system known as the 3-tier system. The system was created by the federal government in 1933 when the repeal of prohibition on alcohol occurred. You have the top tier, which is the manufacturing tier, and then you have the bottom tier, which is the retail tier. Distributors were inserted in between the top and the bottom tiers to provide a buffer in between the 2. Much like the federal government, where you have the 3 branches of government, so that one branch doesn't get more powerful than the other, and there are checks and balances built into the system. You used to be able to sell direct and operate in all 3 tiers of the system that was not created then, but essentially you were completely vertically integrated. You could produce the product, control it in between where it was stored, warehouse, there were no restrictions, and then you sell it to the end consumer. Now we have this great system that has all these checks and balances. The distributor floats in between the manufacturer and the retailer. We are the buffer to control the power between all 3 tiers, so we all have equal say and equal representation in the marketplace. Distributors provide access to market for new manufacturers. We are the vehicle that they go through. Once they get to a certain level of production, enough to fill the pipeline out in the marketplace, it's at that point that they come to a distributor and they focus on making good product and let us do our jobs. Many of you probably don't know what goes on in these 4 walls, but we have a very, very efficient operation. This is definitely not your grandfather's beer business anymore. We've really gone from the days of selling off the truck to the days of now selling from an iPad. So the modernization and computerization of our operation today really allows us to do business right down to the granular level, where we may be shipping 10, 20, 30 pallets of beer to a big box store, but the same day we're delivering 1, 2, or maybe even 3 bottles of wine to the very small convenience store in the Idaho border. And that's really where the true advantage of our system, our structure, comes into play to provide value for the consumer. All the while providing for public health and safety. Those little codes you see stamped on the side of the beer box, that's there for a reason. It's not just there to tell you your beer's fresh. It also tells you where your beer came from, where it was canned, bottled, or kegged, and we know where that stuff is in the marketplace. In the event of any product recall or potential safety risk to the public, our systems allow us to trap that beer, recover it out of the marketplace within 24 hours, and we have a 100% success rate with that. Our territory is rather large, 25,000 square miles to be exact. We service 13 counties in western Montana, a little over a quarter of the state's population. We go from Trout Creek to Lima and everywhere in between, with hundreds of brands and 4 distinct seasons, and a lot of those seasons have snow. And our challenge is to get that beer delivered to the retail customer so that consumer does not go thirsty that night. So one of the main reasons we're here today is to talk about the Build Grant. The Build Grant is definitely one of the cans in the six-pack of success. And I got to tell you, I was super happy to be a part of it. It was very unique in the public-private partnership aspect, as well as everybody came prepared. Everybody wanted to be there. And I got to tell you, this group just hit it out of the park. I have been part of very few presentations that went as well as this thing. Summit Beverage had a vested interest in making the trip to Washington, D.C. because our new building is going to go out west in the area that we're hoping some of these Build Grant funds get spent to push out city water and sewer. Our current warehouse that we're in right now is just shy of 70,000 square feet. We're just on the east side of Costco, in between Costco and West Broadway Street. We have a lot of challenges here with long trucks backing into the docks, a lot of cross traffic. We are stuffed into this thing wall to wall, as you can see behind me. It's time for a change. We need an upgrade. We need a new building. Our plan is to break ground in the spring of 2020, pending a building permit from the city, which we are working diligently with them to get that done. At which point we'll start construction. The new building, we're looking at approximately a little over 100,000 square feet. There's going to be many more improvements. We're really big on efficiency from an environmental footprint standpoint. We want to be efficient, not wasteful. So we've employed some new technologies in the new building. The whole building will be temperature controlled. And we're doing some other things with some motion-activated LED lighting systems. There's no need to light your building 24 hours a day, unless you need every corner lit 24 hours a day, which we certainly don't. It's going to do multiple things. It's going to allow us to grow and move to a new location. It's more efficient. And it's also going to allow Costco to grow too. I'm under the understanding they may grow the footprint of the store. It's going to add multiple additional points of entry and exit to the place, and I think it's going to be a good fit for the Missoula community. Without Costco purchasing this building, this deal would never happen. So we owe them a gratitude of thanks. So as I mentioned, Summit Beverage is a family-owned business. 3rd generation's deep. I'm part of that 3rd generation. Alongside of me, I'm proud to work with my brother and my sister and my father. From day one, our family has been deeply involved in community events. It's part of our DNA. It's super important to us as a family to make sure that we are involved in the community, that we are giving back to those that give to us. One of the shining examples of our community involvement is our partnership with the GSA and Grizzly Athletics. Our involvement with the GSA covers many different areas. You know, we're involved in the tailgate program, pre-game at Washington Grizzly Stadium. We do an annual beer and wine festival with them that has been going strong for well over 10 years. That has just been such a value-added partnership. We've provided many scholarships for student athletes, helped to provide some critical facility improvement, and they just get it. They're a great partner, and that's just one of many examples of people we work with in the community. The other thing that is really important to us, and really important to the beer business, are special events. When Summit Beverage arrives at an event, they know the party's about to get started because we do it right. We execute roughly 150 to 180 special events in a year. It's anything from a fair and a festival to a local community event, from Elk Hill Rodeo to Washington Grizzly Stadium. We execute events big and small. And it's super important to our business. We do it right. We take it seriously. We serve the beer from the keg to the cup, all the way through. It's one of the few touch points that we have with the consumer. When somebody has a good experience with one of our brands at an event, where we win is the next time they're in that grocery store aisle or at the bar, they call for that brand again. They think, I had a good time with that Brenna once, I want to do it again. So that's our story. I'd like to leave you with some closing words of wisdom. Benjamin Franklin once said that beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Well, I think I'm going to be able to get you guys out of here a little bit early. In lieu of taking, I mean, we have a very large variety of, people who've talked here, and you probably have some questions. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of wrap things up and, give you a little bit of time to mingle before you head back to work. But with that, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my board members. If you guys, from the board of the chamber, could stand up real quick, I want to thank you guys. And then, just being, I said this before at a different event, but, Kimberly, Clint, Angie, Frank, our staff that we have helping to guide this organization, there's sacrifices they make. You guys just don't get to see all of that. And I really, really appreciate the things that they do, and I think we should give them a round of applause as well. And then, just as kind of of course we can't do this without sponsorships. So, our title sponsor, ATG, thank you. Summit, WGM, Northwestern Energy, Cushing Terrell, MCAT, who filmed today's event. And, thanks to all our visionary members. First Security Bank, University of Montana, Northwestern Energy, Windfall, Southgate Mall, and the Missoulian. Without any of them, and without you, our membership-paying chamber members, we couldn't do this. So all of this, everything we've got from our panel, and thank you to our panel for being here and sharing their stories, couldn't be without the support we get from you. So thank yourselves, and again, we'll be here at least for another 10, 15 minutes mingling. If you guys have questions, feel free to grab one of my panel and have your questions, and then we'll go on to the rest of our business day. So thank you all for being here. One last thing. Sorry. I want to thank the DoubleTree for a wonderful lunch service. Thank you very much.